We're live! Hello, this is Music Emerging Inspiring Talks. I'm Cynthia Brando. And we're simultaneously streaming on both my personal Facebook page and the Music Emerging Facebook page. So I created this live stream to have conversations with people in the music industry, but get into a little deeper conversation about roadblocks, struggles, mental health, personal stuff, anything the artist wants to talk about, because a lot of us are struggling, and so I think these talks are good because a lot of people don't want to get deep. Do you find that? By the way, this is Poeina.
Hi everyone.
She's a great artist in Los Angeles that I've known and got to see perform a lot since I've moved here 6 years ago now. And you've been here how long in LA?
I don't know. I've lost track. 2012?
Okay, so yeah, a little bit
About the
longer.
same?
Yeah, a little bit, yeah.
A little bit longer maybe.
And you perform all over, and you do fashion design and all sorts of stuff.
All sorts of stuff. I mean, that's kind of how LA is. Like,
Yes.
you don't just have one job. I came here originally doing music full time, and then, that's how I got into fashion and
Right.
all these other avenues because, it was impossible. It was impossible to just do music here.
Right. Yeah, a lot of us, we have to have different jobs, day jobs. Some of them can be creative, which is cool. But a lot of times, when I first moved here, I had 5 different jobs.
Yeah.
And I still have like 3 different ones.
Yeah.
And then doing music full time. So that's been your experience the whole time you've been here, right?
Yeah. At first it was really crazy to figure out what to do for a job because I didn't have any job experience. I mean, my resume consisted of shows and tours.
Yeah. Yeah, because you toured a lot before you moved here, right?
A lot. I've been touring since I was 17, so I've been...
I won't ask you how old you are now.
A couple of years.
Yeah, so you've also done a lot of like street performing, right?
I have, yeah. I might go back to it.
Well, I do it, yeah.
You do?
Oh, yeah.
Oh,
yeah.
cool. Do you go to like Santa Monica? Or?
I used to, but it's kind of this is the east side, so I'm over on the east side. We're in live streaming from South Pass. So the west side's a little bit far, but I go to Trader Joe's. I go to different farmers markets, outside the farmers market sometimes.
Uh-huh. That's basically how I used to eat. I just go to the farmer's market and sing, and then next thing I knew, people were like, "Here's a bunch of lavender. Here's a squash."
Yes, farmers markets treat you well. They feed you also.
Yeah, and people, meet a lot of people that way. I had a lot of fun singing at farmers markets. I haven't done any of that kind of stuff in a long time.
Well, why did you decide to move to Los Angeles?
Well, initially I moved here because I just thought it seemed really scary.
Okay.
I was living in Portland, and I'd been, I felt like I played everywhere. I played at all the venues. I played at all the ballrooms. And I just felt like, what do I do now?
Now everyone's moving to Portland from Los Angeles. Anyway.
It's like, what do I do now? And then, LA, I never liked LA.
So you'd been here before?
Yeah, both my parents are from LA.
Oh, okay.
And my sister was living in LA, and she's like, you really need to move here. And I was like, okay, I'm going to do it. And so I started coming down here, and I started working on a music video with this really rad director. And then eventually, every time I came down here, I felt like I had so many opportunities.
There are a lot of opportunities.
And so I felt like, okay, I should really go to LA, and and it's really scary, so it's definitely gonna challenge me somehow.
Was it scary because it was just so new and so big?
Traffic, finances.
Yeah.
I moved here in a van. I was living on the side of the road, and I've been off and on living like that the entire time.
So you didn't have family that was still here that could help you?
No. I mean, I don't have family anywhere that can really help me
that
in
was,
any capacity.
Yeah.
Yeah,
a lot
they love me and
sure,
all of that.
Some artists have help from their families, and then they're just really independent artists and they're on their own. So that's your experience this whole time, right? Pretty much.
Yeah.
So how has that been for you? Like, what are some of the hardships that you've had to gone through? So there's housing, for sure.
Well, yeah.
Jobs.
Well, I kind of want to talk about the recent phenomenon that's going on, just because
you've been through some SHIT recently.
I've been through a lot lately, and I didn't really want to talk about it, and I've been having a hard time talking about it. And one of the things, like, so my producer that I had been working with the last 3 years tried to rape and murder me, allegedly, so I don't be the one ending up in jail.
Right.
And you know, it was like right shortly after that, he like called my manager and was saying all this stuff about, you know, he'll come get me when he wants to, and threatening me and threatening my career and all this kinds of stuff. And one of the things he said is that I was only doing this for attention and to get press or whatever. And so it's like there's some weird psychological manipulation. I've just been like, well, I don't want to talk about it because it's not about that, and it's like it really hurt me.
Well, tell us about the backstory, how you met this person and came to work with him. Well,
it's weird being out of this situation because it's just starting to look different, but at the time, and even now, like looking at it, I'm like, maybe even that was planned, you know, maybe, because it was like while I was on tour with Corey Feldman, I had known him, but we had stopped speaking to each other, and yet he was like online watching every post, every video, everything, and at the time I thought it was funny. I wasn't thinking like, oh, he's a stalker. I was just
we don't know initially.
Oh, look at this guy paying attention to everything, you know, even though he doesn't talk to me, you know. So I thought, you know, at the time. But when I met him because I had sold my cello on Craigslist, and he bought my cello, and he came over, and we immediately had this like vibrant connection, and talked about music forever, and had that song Unlovable that everybody loves. And I've been trying to find the right producer and the right way to record that song because everybody's just been like, we want it.
Yeah, I remember because when I met Poeina, she was singing this amazing song. You'll hear her sing later. But amazing voice, amazing performer, and so she had this song Unlovable that everyone loved that song.
Yeah, and so when I met this guy, and he seemed to have all these creative, vibrant ideas.
And he had a studio? Or?
Yeah, he had a studio. He has a studio. And so he was like, well, you should record with me sometime. And I was like, sure, I just quit my job. I was like, I'll come over. And so I came over the next day, and we recorded that song. And then it was like when I got over there, the first thing that happened was, you know, he was busy on the phone. He was on the phone, and he was talking to Rolling Stone or somebody, and talking about Prince's death. And so I've been playing at open mics and just like, you know, hustling in LA. And then I go over there, and this guy wants to record me, and he's like,
I had the same experience when I first moved here, so it's like, I know exactly what you're talking about.
Yeah, just making this big deal. And then it was like, I didn't know if it was real or not real, but then, you know, People Magazine and all these other magazines came out with, you know, there was his name, and so I really believed that he actually worked with Prince. And
does he?
Well, he did, yeah.
So he is legitimate as far as being a music producer.
Well, I just found out recently, like, he did DJ a few shows, and he was accidentally on his musicology video, allegedly. I don't know. But
not as clear cut as.
No, he wasn't touring with Prince for several years, like he told me, and you know, whatever. But
you weren't suspicious at first. You know,
I was always suspicious of him, but then he just kept proving himself to be like really cool and really interesting.
And you worked well together.
And we worked well together, and his like creative vision for my music was just like, you know, speaking to my heart. And I was like, this is... Because
that's hard to find.
It's hard to find.
Really hard to find.
So I was like, you're speaking to my heart creatively, like the way he talked about like sound texture and like, you know, like how he wanted to produce things and how he wanted to capture what I was doing, and you know, he was making me feel like a big superstar.
And of course that's why, you know, you're here in LA to do something with your music. So
but then I had witnessed something between him and his girlfriend that was really terrifying, and so I had stopped.
How long ago was that after you initially started working with him that you witnessed that?
Maybe 3 or 4 months.
Okay.
And so at that point I was like, whoa, this is like not good, whatever. And so we'd stopped talking to each other, and at that point I went on tour with Corey Feldman, and I was like,
Corey Feldman's
working
Angels, right? That show.
Yeah. I costumed the whole show. I was the opening act, and I was singing backup behind the stage. I was doing a lot of things for the show. And then that became really exhausting because, like, at the end, one of the girls was like, can you please get me out of his house? Like, it's horrible. And I didn't really even know the circumstances at the time. I was, like, depressed.
Wait, are you talking about your producer guy?
Well, Corey Feldman, I was touring with him, and one of the girls wanted to move out of his house. She was like, get me out of here. She was living
with him.
Yeah. And so I was like, sure, no big deal. I didn't realize it was a problem for her to move. I didn't understand that he felt like he owned her, or that she was
So there was
property.
Issues with that and drama.
Yeah, so when I moved her out of the house, then all of a sudden I was a homewrecker, and I was a Satanist, and he was like pitting his fans against me, and I was getting all this hate mail, and it was just, I was being attacked. And then on top of it, I didn't even know, like, the girl, I had moved her out, and I moved her into my house, and like for the first like month that she was there, she never spoke to me. She just meowed at me like a cat. So now I call her Kitty, and I pretend she's my pet cat, and we have this whole funny weird thing that people are always like, what are you doing? And but yeah, she literally, it was like when I talked to the police about the situation for that, I was like, I don't know exactly what's going on, but I could tell you she won't stop meowing at me, and I could barely have a conversation with her.
Something happened.
It took months to find out
on this tour
what had actually happened, and what she had witnessed, and why she was so traumatized. But I was also worn out at the end of that tour. I was emotionally, physically, psychologically exhausted from being worked to the bone, like 15 to 17, 20 hours a day, and then he decided not to pay me at the end, and like. Wow. It was supposed to be one thing, and it turned out to be a whole other disaster. And so then this situation comes up. I meet this guy, and he's really great, and we're working together. We're making music, and then I stop talking to him. I go on the Corey Feldman tour, and then afterwards he comes right back into my life. And at the time I didn't really think anything about it, but now I'm just like, predator mentality. I was like in a weakened state.
You felt that he was like sensing your vulnerability.
Yeah,
at that point.
Because he was stalking me online and watching everything that was happening. It was like,
it's hard because as artists we want to promote our stuff on social media, but then as women especially, we do have to be careful because there are people watching, and you never know who's watching.
Yeah.
It's one of those catch-22 things.
Yeah, and so then after that, he somehow like convinced me of the situation that I witnessed between him and his girlfriend was not what I thought it was, and that it's their relationship and it's not my business, and blah blah blah, and I should just like understand whatever. I don't know. And then I also kind of like
that's
was
a hard
worried about
situation.
her, and so I kind of and I knew that they didn't really have a whole lot of like community like how I have. Like, I'm a community builder. I'm always like, how can we make friends? How can we work together? How can we share what we know and support each other? And so I saw them very isolated, and I was just like, well, I should be their friend, and
right.
The music was so good, so maybe I can do the music too, and maybe it'll be worth it or whatever.
Yeah.
But then over time, because I worked with them for 3 years now at this point,
and so were you working on like a project, like an album or anything, or?
Yeah, I was working on an album. I recorded over 30 songs with him, and about a year ago, I met my manager through him, who she's really wonderful and was advocating for me, and she just started realizing something was wrong and was like, we need to start moving you away from the situation.
Just by stuff you were telling her about the situation?
Well, yeah, what was happening, because like every time we had a plan for someone who wanted to invest in the project or the Kickstarter that I did that completely failed.
Like I was we
tried
tried to promote that.
Tried to promote it, but the thing that I didn't realize is there was people around me that were like, I'm not doing anything to this campaign. This guy's completely manipulating her, and I didn't get it, and I didn't see it, and I didn't know. And then, you know, fast forward, like the last couple months of that whole relationship, you know, I got like even more sucked into it, even though I really wanted to get away from it. And it was like so everything in me was like, get away from the situation.
You weren't exactly listening to your manager yet, as far as completely.
Well, I was trying to, and we were working towards it, but then somehow it was like I kept getting sucked in. And then his girlfriend was also kind of sucking me into the whole thing too, and she was playing her role in that, which I feel like there's like a lot of Hollywood predators that have this whole sort of setup where they have, you know, they're a psychopath, and then they have their girlfriend that they've beaten and manipulated into helping them like capture women or whatever. I don't know. It's just like a weird cycle here that I've seen in LA like a lot. Like, you know, like I definitely watched it with Corey Feldman and his women, and then I got out of that situation, and I wasn't even a part of that. I wasn't his type, but then I accidentally met this guy that I was his type and got sucked into that. And so like the last 2 months of the thing, I actually had moved into the studio. I was supposed to move in with a friend of mine, but I moved into the studio, you know, and thought I was supposed to be there working, but really all that was happening is I was just sort of losing my friends and losing the people around me. I stopped singing. Speak much.
What kind of like mind games was he playing with you? As far as what was he telling you? Through you know, how did he just told you it was all going to be great?
So long as you're here, like I won't beat the shit out of her.
Oh, okay. So he was using his girlfriend to try to get you to stay and be part of his world. Yeah, and that's why it's like when I was supposed to go and move into those domestic violence shelter, because he's continued harassing me, and they haven't arrested him. The DA dropped the charges to misdemeanor, assault with a deadly weapon charge, and 3 other charges. This was like the climatic incident that happened.
Yeah. So like I got there, and I'm living there, and I just was like, something's not right. And I was praying. I was like, God, make me holy. God, show me.
You're a practicing Catholic, right?
Yes, which is another confusing thing, because he was the one that kind of like evangelized and kind of like brought me to a different understanding of Christ and all of that, and then there's like this crazy conflict, and then somehow in the midst of, you know, it was like once I was baptized, and then he like, you know, showed up at my baptism, introduced himself to all my friends and family, you know, and that was like, I wasn't speaking to him at that point either. And then he was like, I'm her producer, and I, you know, met everybody, and everyone was like, that guy's great, like, this guy's so great, like, he's wonderful. And so I was like, okay, you know, and then he kept telling me roots, trees, and fruits, like, see, everything from me is wonderful, because, like, now you know God, and that's, so I'm wonderful, and we're doing this music, and so it's wonderful. And so it just like, you know, and then it got to a point where once I was living there, he was trying to take that devotion that I had learned and developed through my church community at St. Mel in Woodland Hills.
So is this a separate church from his church, or?
Yeah, because he hardly ever really actually went to church.
Okay.
And like, you know,
so you kind of got into it.
Yeah, when it came down to it, he was all about having his own special laws and rules, you know, and thinking he's like, sometimes I don't want to get into that, but luckily, I mean, I'm blessed. God is amazing and wonderful and was there for me, and like this church community of all these like amazing older, you know, people from my community were like, we're your aunts and uncles, like, you obviously, like we'll help you, we'll guide you, and they did. And
so you opened up to some people.
Yeah, you know, and so luckily, even though he was the one that drew me into the faith, I actually was able to learn about the faith from real Christians.
That's interesting.
Real Christians.
So you never had like religion in your life growing up or anything like that?
I did. I was raised Mormon.
Oh, okay.
But I never could really bring myself to fully immerse myself into that, because it's just, this storyline was too full of holes for me personally.
Yeah, so Catholicism really spoke to you.
Really spoke to my heart. It really spoke to my heart. It changed my whole life. It is, I mean, it's been a complete 180. I mean, like Kanye, you know, like his whole thing.
Right.
Like running around, and someone was like, I saw some interview, they were like, so are you like a Christian artist? He's like, I'm a Christian everything. And I was like, that's how I feel. That's literally how I feel.
Yeah, how did it affect your music world? I know we're getting off topic, but
so there's something like in the Catechism of the Catholic Church. It's like a book basically written about like all the teachings and beliefs that are like not necessarily written in the Bible or whatever. But the Catechism, there's one line that says something like, you know, we have to be careful what we worship, because we were created to worship. And so if we don't properly place our devotion onto like the divine, that we will place our devotion onto sex, drugs,
predators,
food, you know, self-hatred, like whatever it is, like whatever our weaknesses are, whatever our problems are. And so in regards to music, I realized through this process that like my devotion was to love and relationships, and I was always trying to find that infinite source of refueling and that source of, you know, support and advocacy and, you know, love and just all these things. Everything I was trying to find it in that other person, which is, you know, an unbearable sort of thing to put onto somebody.
Sure, yeah.
But I didn't realize that, and so then in the process of like really becoming devoutly in love with God and having my foundation reconstructed, you know, in a supernatural spiritual way, then I realized that like, you know, now it's like I'm writing about love. I'm writing about the same kinds of things I was writing about before, but my devotion it's to truth, beauty,
yeah,
and goodness.
So
it's not
knowing
about a
that
person. It's not. You know,
yeah,
it's about something greater than myself, greater than the community, greater than the.
So it must be just a real comfort to have that going through these difficult times that you've been going through.
Yeah,
something
absolutely.
To lift you up.
It's so crazy that this guy could somehow provoke me. I was a feminist, lesbian, witch, like whatever, 100 tiles, poly, queer, like, you know, I had all these names for myself and all these titles and whatever, and like I became a Christian and it all fell away, and I was like, I'm not gonna identify.
So you felt really fragmented all your life, and it's kind of brought you into just oneness. Or?
Yeah, it's really like rebuilt my foundation in a foundation of love. It's really like taught me how to better respect people, because every single person in their divine nature and like how I see people, like they're created and their worth and their value is so infinite in this like bigger picture that I'm much more careful about how I interact with people. And like, you know, I became celibate because part of my issue is like, you know, I'd see people and it's all about consent, right? And it's all about like, so long as everyone's happy and free and good. But that didn't actually, that mindset didn't actually function in a way that I was respecting people, because it might have been consensual in the moment, but then there was disrespect on my part to other people over and over again, because I didn't value that at all. I didn't value that in the same way. And so, love and sex and all these kinds of things are a lot more disposable.
You mean they were disposable,
they were,
and now you value
disposable. Yeah, and now
just
it's like
having like a real connection.
Yeah, now I'm like, oh, if I don't sleep with this person, I can build a lifelong relationship instead of ruining it somewhere down the line because of, I'm trying to fulfill whatever desires I have based on childhood abuse and everything else. You know, like I get where I'm at and why.
Do you, in your music community, since you've been in Los Angeles, have you come across a lot of artists that are struggling with this kind of thing?
No.
No.
With Christianity and
No,
with
just
sexuality?
well, not having something that speaks the truth to them, and they're kind of all over the place and seem like they're happy, but yet they're struggling inside.
Well, I think we all are like that.
Yeah.
I think we're all like that, you know, regardless of our beliefs.
Well, sometimes I think being an artist and just the crazy artistic world and creativity and the music world, and it almost kind of it could bring out that bad side in a way. Sometimes.
Yeah, I think
You really have to be. Don't you think
Well,
you
the
have to have a certain
atmosphere-
strength to really get through? Because the music industry is just so crazy and tough.
Yeah, but it's crazy and tough, but it's also like there is a very specific message that's constantly projected in music. It's alcohol, it's sex, it's drugs, it's depression. Like depression is glorified in popular music, and then everybody's wondering why all these things are happening. And personally, I just think it's a lack of truth, beauty, and goodness. It's a lack of God. It's a lack of people understanding like the nature of the human condition, and that it's essential for us to constantly be reflecting on ourselves and to constantly be checking what are we doing and how are we contributing to our communities, and is it good, is it bad, is it, you know, because we all have things that we're doing that are disruptive to like the beauty and goodness of a functioning community, and in different ways that we don't even realize or recognize. And so that was another thing that I found really valuable in my church is just like confession. I felt like it was a structured and a beautiful way of being able to self-analyze like on a regular basis, because you read through a list of, you know, you got the 10 Commandments. Have I killed someone? Have I stolen from someone? Have I, you know, what have I done? And you look through these, and then you have all the things that lead up to those terrible things, like, you know, lying and cheating and, you know, not working hard enough and trying to, you know, well, I think one of them was like, was I reading like about stealing or something like that? It was like, did you put in a full day's of work for your boss, like, or did you shortchange it and show up late and leave early, and just little things like that, which seems really silly. But then I was like, oh yeah, actually, maybe I should respect my boss a little bit more. Maybe I should, you know, not make excuses and show up late because, you know, like this causes all kinds of stress and whatever for this person, and like
I mean,
they're trying to do what they're trying to do, and I'm either going to contribute or not contribute. Is it going to be good, or is it going to be, you know, we're going to half-ass ourselves through this world? And so I remember when younger thinking confession Catholics, they're all so guilty, and they're all
I was going to mention the Catholic guilt thing.
They're feeling so terrible all the time, like, you know,
You're not
why would I want to feel bad about who I am and whatever? But, you know, Jesus said, like, don't be ashamed of your sins. Like, he said, you know, just stop doing it. Just stop doing what you're doing. You don't need to be ashamed of what you're going through. You don't need to be ashamed of anything. Like, that's part of the devil. That's not part of truth, goodness, and beauty. Being able to go through that process of confession, it ended up feeling more like a gift to me. I wasn't feeling guilty. I was just looking through the list of, like, how have I treated people?
Yeah.
Like, in the littlest ways that you don't realize. You build these little habits, and eventually you do something really, really shitty to someone. You know,
and a lot of people just refuse to admit that even to themselves.
Right.
So.
Right. And like one thing I would like to ask like atheists or people who don't believe is like who still believe in truth and beauty and goodness is, what are you doing actively on a regular basis, on a weekly basis or a monthly basis, whatever it is, what are you actively doing to say, am I respecting people properly, and what am I doing? Because I certainly, like, as a atheist or, you know, whatever I was in the past. I've been through a crazy journey on that.
Right.
You know, like,
Yeah.
I wasn't checking myself. I thought that I was a good person, you know, but then I also was like, if somebody would get hung up on me because I slept with them and didn't want to call them afterwards, I'd be like, what's their problem? Like, free love. Like, get over it. Like, you got to be with me. I mean, it's just like, what a horrible way to be. What a horrible way to treat somebody. And I'm, you know, I still probably have people I should apologize to for disrespecting them in ways that I wasn't aware of, because I was taught by the culture and, you know, the community I was a part of that, you know, oh, it's consensual, it's fine.
Yeah, you know, when I started studying Buddhism and practicing Buddhism, and we have what's called an Eightfold Path, and it's kind of similar to commandments. It's just a creed that, you know, you say that you're going to follow the best you can. Of course, you make mistakes, but it's the same, like, where you make a mistake and you don't feel terrible about it. You just, like, move on and, like, try to do better.
Yeah.
You know, and because, you know, life is crazy and things happen, and it's not like we're supposed to be perfect all the time.
We do things we don't really realize we're going to do when we're kids. You know, we think we're going to be great and do great, because when you're a kid, you think everything's going to be great, and then you grow up and we're all jerks.
Well, yeah, I joke with people because, like, my sister, if she's out there, hello. Like, my sister and my boyfriend, they're to me, like, they were born like perfect people. And, like, I joke with people, it's like, I have to take classes, like, I have to study stuff to remind myself, like, no, this is how you're supposed to be in life, and to check myself. And that's, like, important to me to always be checking myself and looking at what I'm doing objectively. And like you said, like, trying to help people or do things for the community. It's one of the reasons I love the music community.
Yeah.
Is because they're always, like, advocating for you. Like, I didn't think that was going to be like that when I moved to LA.
Yeah.
That it was going to be so supportive. I mean, I know there's bad things about it. Definitely.
Was one of the things I was so shocked and surprised, like, when I was going through that Kickstarter in that last couple of months before I, you know, was almost murdered, is the people that showed up. I was just like, whoa. I met all these people from open mics and from studio sessions and from, you know, whatever, festivals and shows, and just all of a sudden there was all these musicians and people that were just, like, showing up to support and help me. And I, you know, it was unbelievable. Whether it was a place to sleep, or whether it was, you know, buy me a meal, or, like, whatever it was, you know, or even just call me and check on me.
Yeah.
You know, like, that just, like, meant a lot, you know. I've been, like, Tom, you know Tom from the Songwriter Showcase at the Bar 20?
Tom. Maybe.
Stenberg?
What?
Stenberg? Did we meet?
I don't know.
I thought we met through
I mean, I haven't been to Bar 20 in a long time, but I've
Yeah,
definitely been there.
He's booked me for open mics and for songwriter sessions since I moved here, and this happened, and somebody, you know, that I know, and he's, you know, a friend or whatever, but I didn't expect him to, you know, continue to call me and check on me and be like, hey, what's up?
Yeah, I didn't have a place to live for, like, over 6 months, and people, I said this on Facebook, but the music community, like, housed me this whole time before I got this apartment we're at right now, and they refused to take any of my money. It's like, here, take my money, please. And they're like, no. And it was like, I never felt that before in a community like I have here. So, but anyway, so you had this, like, really climactic incident with this producer, and it turned violent.
Yeah, he
talk about whatever you want to talk about. If you know, we can move on.
Yeah. I mean, part of the reason why I wanted to come here today and talk about things is because, you know, one of the things he said was, like, I was just doing this for press or whatever, and which is just crazy.
Crappy way to go about getting press.
It's like, who wants to get pressed by having 3 broken teeth and nerve damage in their arm? Like, I haven't been able to play the guitar as much. But I'm trying to rebel against that right now and just be like, look, you're not going to get in my head, and you're not going to convince me that, like, I shouldn't talk about this just because you're going to try to compare it to another villain. So I've been working on writing different types of music as a result of this, because I have gone to the studio a couple of times. It's been hard because I'm still post-concussive and I have like a lot of nausea and headaches and a migraine disorder, and I still haven't been able to have my teeth fixed. My jaw still, it was in June, so almost 5 months ago, and my teeth are still not lining up properly from being beaten in the face like multiple times. Several times actually. I was punched in the face and then bashed in the head with a metal basket. And
was there a reason why? What, did he give a reason why this was happening, or
he had, like, what the police said, he digitally assaulted me. That's what the police said. Multiple times, and I was like fighting back and just being like, hey, like, that's not okay, like, you're hurting me, please stop, like, leave me alone. And he became very, very angry that I was not submissive and willing to do what he wanted me to do sexually in that moment. And so I said no, and I walked away. And
you were still living there, right?
I was living there, yeah.
And so you left.
Yeah, and so, no, I didn't leave. I walked, to the other side of the room, and he followed me.
Okay.
And he told me, you're my slave, and I own you. And he punched me in the face. And then from there, I fought back. I fought. I almost killed him. It was terrifying.
Have you ever had something like that happen to you before?
I've never been hit in my life. I was abused as a kid by my father and by other bishops and elders in the Mormon Church and other people, but which is probably why I got myself into this situation right now, because a lot of the manipulation and mind control stuff that he was really obsessed with, it's just reminding me so much of what I went through with my dad.
I guess, people do say studies that, we follow patterns in our life. Do you believe that?
Well, yeah, but I thought that I'd overcome that. Like, I really, did a lot of self-work and acupuncture and nutritional stuff, and I spent a lot of time and I went through all the Buddhism and I went through a lot of different things, just reading everything I could, trying to figure out how to heal and get better, and ended up becoming an existential nihilist, and I was just nothing matters, but I'm here, so whatever, I'll just play music. And so I thought that I, improved, my relationships with my friends and with people I was dating, and all my relationships were improving, so I felt like I had overcome. I felt like by the time I'd come to LA, I thought that I'd overcome, and that I was
How old were you when you moved to Los Angeles?
I don't know, I have to count.
In your 20s?
In my 20s, yeah. So I really thought that that I was okay. And then, I went through the Corey Feldman thing, which was another, somebody manipulative and taking advantage of me. And then I went through, this person taking advantage of me. And there's been...
And I'm sure you're probably not the first one,
yeah,
right?
And there's been 2 or 3 other people that I've worked for in this city who,
know about this person.
Who just tried to work me for free, or tried to hustle me, who tried to manipulate me into doing things to benefit them, to not benefit me, to take from me and to not give to me like they were saying or whatever. And so it's been tough to see that,
because in Los Angeles there are a lot of desperate young women that come to Los Angeles for fame or fortune, and I think there are a lot of people that prey on that. Not that we're desperate or anything like that, but it's those people exist for that purpose. They know there's a lot of people coming into a major city like this for opportunities. Yeah. And when I first moved here, I didn't know anyone. I didn't know who to work with. The first thing that happened to me was I got groped. Because I don't know. I didn't know. Now people tell me work with that person or don't. I get it's word of mouth, but if you don't know.
If you don't know, you don't know. And people are telling you all kinds of things, and you can look them up on the internet, whatever, but there's only so much But yeah, and luckily I didn't come to LA with the intention of like, I just need to be a superstar or whatever. I just came here because I was like, that seems scary. Let's go do that.
Yeah.
Let's go do that.
Well, it shows that, you know, you're fearless.
Yeah.
And you have
So, but I definitely, like, I do want to play music. I do want to put my songs out. I do, like, that.
You're one of those people that are out there doing, you know, a good sense of the word hustling. You know, we say we're hustling, you know, we're always hustling. We're hustlers, but in that positive sense that we're just like really hardworking, and you know, and I think we're the same in that we're putting our stuff out there, trying different things, and you know, you're gonna get into it's easy to get into different situations like that because you're trying to like do different opportunities and meet new people. I mean, I have my community, but sometimes I go outside my community and want to, you know, meet other people.
Because, you know, you never know what opportunities you're going to have if you just, like, step outside of your box.
Because you can get into a box in LA.
Oh, yeah, lots of boxes. Lots of boxes. And then there's lots of people who want to put you in boxes. So you have to, like, fight the box.
So that happened in June.
Yeah,
and
then still not been arrested yet because apparently this is such a common thing that, you know, the whole system is so jaded. And honestly, the police were the most amazing part of this whole experience.
Okay, that's good.
The police were so wonderful to me in advocating for me, taking my report and helping me get to the hospital, and just everything that the police did. Like, every time I see police officer now, which I know is like super controversial because everybody loves to hate cops right now.
Right, everyone loves to hate
when
cops.
When I see the police, I cried just like a couple days ago because I saw a police officer sitting at the restaurant I was at, and I just was like, "Hi, I love you."
I'm sure they appreciate that.
Yeah, and he was like, "Thank you." I was recently a victim of a violent crime, and I just love the police right now more than anything, because they rescued me, you know, and unfortunately the system is really screwed up, and like, you know, it's really disjointed, like the way that like the court systems and the detectives and, you know, the warrants and all these different aspects of it,
you have to go through.
there's so much disconnect that like I have to like basically become a lawyer like to understand how to function and how to get through this, and how to advocate for myself.
Sorry, I don't have tissue right here.
It's fine. But the craziest part about the whole thing is that so many people in the system, whether it's in the courthouses or police stations, have been like, "You have so much support, it's incredible." Which I'm like, what do you mean? What do you mean I have so much support? Like, I have a couple friends here, so I have so much support. Like, what are you saying to me? And they're like, normally women go through this completely alone. And that's really rattled me because it's been so hard to navigate, but I have a friend who's advocating for all the medical stuff because I can't even, helping me set up my insurance, helping me schedule an MRI to figure out what's wrong with my shoulder.
That stuff can be so overwhelming.
Texting me and telling me this is when your appointment is, and I'm just like, wow, like I'm so blessed. And then I have my manager who, you know, she's calling me and she's saying like, I understand you feel like crap, but you're not allowed to look like crap. You need to pull it together. Yeah, she did. She called me and hopefully she likes my outfit today. No, I'm kidding. But yeah, she was like, you're allowed to feel like crap. You cannot look like crap. And so I was like, okay, I'm gonna go get my nails done and get my eyelashes done. I'm gonna, you know, get some clothes. I'm gonna, you know, and so like every day in the morning, instead of just like rolling out of bed wearing the same clothes I was wearing for 3 days, like being depressed and heartbroken about losing my music and losing 3 years of dedication to
I was thinking about that too. If you've been recording with this, like all that's lost, like all that work, all that time and energy.
I can't even attempt to get
the
that
files
music back until
they
finish the criminal lawsuit. Like I can't pursue a civil lawsuit until the criminal lawsuit's done, which I cannot do until he's arrested, which I cannot do until either the DA takes this seriously and realizes that these charges should stay at a felony and not be dropped to misdemeanor so they can actually arrest him and do their job, or if anyone wants to help me hand out flyers, I have a lot
Sorry,
of
it's
them.
a mirror image, but
I know,
it's
yeah,
a wanted flyer.
But I have flyers if anyone wants to help me post them. He does have a warrant out for his arrest for not showing up to the arraignment.
So you've been posting flyers around to try to locate this person, right?
Yeah, absolutely. Because he's a predator.
So they're in hiding, right?
Yeah.
Like they're.
Yeah.
So the police haven't been able to find him, or.
Yeah. He even lost custody of his child because he wouldn't leave his house, and I, gave my police report to his ex-wife, so she was able to be like, see, like, give me custody, and they were like, you got it.
Wow.
Which is really intense, and I don't even exactly know how to feel about that either, because it's like
complicated, and you're like. Now you're involved in this person's like madness in a way, and like because there's so many lines to it now, because like you said, you were witness to something that he had with his girlfriend, and it's like it just kind of goes in this big weird circle as far as his negativity spreading out to so many different parts of your life, and like he's probably done this to other people too.
He has, and I didn't know that until after this. He has a prior felony charge that was dropped to a misdemeanor for beating a woman in public, and then of course his ex-wife told me as well.
Yeah.
She's tried to help women in the past, but of course they didn't listen to her or weren't interested or whatever. But she was also very badly beaten and during that time, and so he has a history of this allegedly. Keep saying allegedly, because the way this system works, it's like I'm gonna go to jail where he does for getting beat up. I mean, not really, but
it's frustrating.
Yeah, it is really frustrating. I'm waiting for someone to take this interest. But the charges: criminal threats, domestic battery, assault with a deadly weapon, and violence with a corporal injury. And I was supposed to go into a shelter because he was continuing to harass me, but
we were talking about the legal aspects of that.
Yeah, they said, okay, when you go into the shelter, you're not going to be able to work. And so I was like, well, I can't go into a shelter today then. I have to call all my clients. I have to reschedule my work. I have to whatever. And so I canceled, my whole week's worth of work, which, in LA, you don't work for a week. You might as well kill yourself. Not really. Don't do it. It'll be fine. Everything's going to be fine. But, it's like it's expensive here. You need just transportation and food and whatever. So I canceled all my work and I prepared to go into a women's shelter. And then the women's shelter was like, one of them, after calling hundreds of numbers, and I still have hundreds more numbers I could call, and they're all independent and none of them work together, so it's, they all have numbers. You can go call this person, and you got to call them every day in the morning to see if they have a bed open. But then one of the places I found, they're like, well, we're on a mountain and it's about to snow, so if you have any ongoing medical issues, this wouldn't be the place to go because we have no resources, but you could hide out here. Yeah. And I'm like, well, I do have ongoing medical issues as a result of being beaten, and so I can't do that. I can't go because I do have ongoing medical issues. So I called and called. I found another women's shelter that said they would take me in. But then they said that I may not be able to work for up to a month, and then during their intake process or whatever it is, and then they said even after that, in the process of going through relocation, they said that I would not be able to return to Hollywood because he has a mailbox there, and I would not be able to return to the neighborhood where he lives, which also happens to be the neighborhood where my church community is. The people that have helped me grow and expand my mind and to become a better person and to serve the community and serve the poor and the sick and the lonely and the weak and the tired or whatever.
So you opted to just not go into hiding, but
no, I couldn't. Well, I've been in hiding. I've been moving every few days. I've been staying in.
So that's what she's
different
feeling
places
like right
that
now.
I won't mention because I don't want anyone to know where I'm staying at. I've had to get a new phone, I've had to do a lot
right.
of different things to try to keep myself safe, and their whole solution for keeping me safe is not to go and arrest this, like, predator, but to, like, kick me out of the city, like, make it so that I can't work, so that I can't ever go back to my, I've got some really great clients in Hollywood that I work for that, I depend on that monthly income, and I have studios in Hollywood that I record out of. Andromedon is their Andrew's studio. And then I work with some songwriters in Woodland Hills, my friend Eric, and like, I'm just not supposed to record music or write songs or go to church or do anything that I want to do just so I can be safe. That doesn't make any sense to me. I know the community would prefer not to have a predator in their community. I know that the community would not prefer to have me not there contributing, because I have been contributing for the last couple of years as
absolutely
through this transformation, in every way possible, and it's like now I can't even do that. So at this point it's like, the last court hearing I went to try to get the restraining order, the judge dropped the case because he was like, well, it doesn't seem like you're going to be able to serve him, and if there's criminal charges, there's a protective order, which I still don't I have nothing legally to protect me because he won't open the door, and the charges are misdemeanor. So yeah, and I wish I didn't have to talk about any of this, because I'd really rather be playing music.
Well, I know it's like I don't know if you're up to doing a song, but you talked about, is there like a song that we talked earlier about your kind of epiphany with spirituality and Catholicism. Is there a song that came out of that you'd like to share?
Sure.
But before we do that, hi. Oh, that's my sister. She said,
Christina?
Thanks. Yes.
Aww.
But is there any advice you want to give to women out there that, because I'm sure there's women, someone might be listening that's going through something like similar or has gone through.
Yeah, I mean, the only thing that I don't know about advice other than just don't give up and don't listen to these people who are going to tell you that everything's your fault, because it isn't. But what I would like to see happen, and I don't know how, and I just honestly, it's a new ideas formulating, but like, if all these women are going through this by themselves, like, why can't there be people who care about these kinds of issues, like, to volunteer to help people, like, go through the system, because it's so chaotic and confusing. And I know they have, like, victim advocates and court advocates and all these,
but not enough resources.
But it's not enough. Even if there's, like, emotional support buddies for, like, women of...
I mean, this is not compared, of course, but just, like, in music stuff, sometimes, like, I don't know how to do this, like, and where do I go, like, to someone to help me?
Talk to...
and it's not really clear when you look something up, like, because it's scattered, and like you said, there's a disconnect. It's, like, it's overwhelming, too. It's like, where do I go to for help?
And, like, certain people in the system, they're like, you're allowed to...
Keep talking, we get the guitar.
So you're allowed, with this person and this person, you can be as emotional as you want to, you can tell them how you feel, you can cry, you can be afraid, you can be irrational, and that's perfectly acceptable. And then there's other people in the system where you are absolutely not allowed to have any emotions, you're not allowed to be anything, otherwise they view you as, like, completely off the rails and psychotic and insane, and they don't want to listen to you and they want to shut you down. And so, like, the system literally requires you to be dissociative and be like, I'm going to have emotions here, I'm not going to have emotions here, and it's just really difficult to navigate. And so that's something, if you're a victim of a violent crime. Oh, I thought of one bit of advice. And if a police officer or someone in the hospital ever tells you to do a rape kit, even if you think you're not supposed to do it, or you feel scared to do it, or ashamed, or if, in my case, I rejected it because I was like, no, I fought. Like, I didn't get raped. I'm not doing it. I wish I would have done it, because And I think, like, you know, I should have listened.
It might be some evidence that will
I
help
should
you.
have listened to the advice of the police in the hospital, but at the time I was in shock and I was afraid and I didn't know. But there are things that stuck in my head through that whole thing that helped me survive from other things people had said in the past. So if people can just stick it in their head, if you're ever in the hospital or ever in any kind of situation and the police or the hospital say take a rape kit, even if you don't feel like you need it or don't want to do it, just do it. Just do it, and then you can always just, you know.
Me Too,
not worry about it
Me Too movement happening right now.
I guess it seems to only apply to rich people.
It's important to talk about this though, because and I'm glad that you're willing to come and talk about this. I know it must be really difficult to share. It's such a horrible thing to happen to you. But I'm sure, I mean, I'm going to look at the comments later, but I'm sure that people really appreciate your openness with this. And I think it's important to talk about it.
No, I do feel like that's one gift God's really given to me, is just like go and just tell the truth. Tell the truth, because I know not everybody's in a position where they can talk about what they go through or whatever. But I do feel like that's part of my role. And so as hard as it is, like I wanna talk about it.
I will turn this over to you. So, you know, Poeina, and she has a website. It's just Poeina.com, right?
Yeah.
Poeina.com. It's Poeina.
Yes.
Poeina.com. There's wonderful music videos on there. She plays out. I mean, you're still playing out a little bit sometimes, so you can go see her in Los Angeles. You do stuff online sometimes.
Yeah, I've been trying to do a little bit more of
so
that.
support her. Go to her website. Yeah. All right, let's hear.
Oh, Dave's on Broadway is watching. That's fun. I've been to open mic there too.
Who is it?
Dave's on Broadway.
Oh yeah.
That's fun. So this song called My King.
Here's I don't know if you want that.
I don't know.
You might want to tune it just because it's been sitting.
It's fine.
Okay.
It'll be fine. Yeah, this is called My King, and this is just about. This is a prayer that I read about, you know, when you're looking for that person to love, that you're like praying to find that person, and that they are Christ-like, and that they are compassionate, they are charitable, that they're kind, that they are all these different things. And I had a wonderful, wonderful opportunity recently to sing this at one of my really good friends' wedding.
Oh, okay.
And I thought it was a perfect representation of like her relationship with her hubby, and so
nice.
Anyway, so yeah, it's about God, it's about love, it's about everything.
Fell hard, hit my head. Next I knew was in love again. How you rattle my core, challenge my vibes in your open doorways. And I love you dearly, my king. And I can see your beauty in all things. And I love you dearly, my king. And I can almost see your face when I look on the kindness of a stranger. Feels like one big shot, carry my heart, kill me out. Lord, please have mercy, show me love and then set me free. And I love you dearly, my king. when I look upon the kindness of a stranger. And I'm all alone, I was lasting on my own. I never knew that I would make it back home. I never thought that I would see your face again. I never knew till now what forever meant. And I love you dearly, my king. And I can see your beauty in all things. And I love you dearly, my king. And I can almost see your face when I look upon the kindness of a stranger.
That was beautiful and very emotional.
My mom was like, you were good before, but now that you've got God, your voice, it's a little too much at times. And I was like, what do you mean? She was like, it's just, I was like, in a good way, Mom? I hope you're saying in a good way. She's like, yeah, that's good. Yeah, that's good.
Well, we're out of time, but the amazing artist Poeina, and she's graced us with her beautiful song and story that hopefully will help someone out there that's going through a difficult time. And we're going to rebroadcast this in case you missed it. And again, check out musicemerging.com where you can see the live streams that we've had in the past. And there's a donation link on there. That always helps fund these things, and time and energy. And I always appreciate that. And there's a new blog post on the site now about songwriting. And next week we have another amazing female artist named Rosa Pullman that'll be here, and I'll give you a hug.
Thanks for having me.
All right, anything else? Poeina.com. All right, peace.
Peace.